There's one thing in this life that will 10x your productivity and make you get things done at superhuman speeds. Some of you may have already experienced it to a certain degree, but may have never noticed it. But it's something so powerful that if mastered, can truly transform your life in an exceptionally small amount of time. And it's not coffee, performance drugs, or insane amounts of discipline. It's the greatest motivator that will give you unlimited amounts of energy and ultra sharp tunnel vision. And the best part, you can start using it today. But before I tell you what it is, let me tell you the crazy story of how I personally found it. In case you don't know me, I'm Paul, 20 years old, currently studying my third year of computer engineering, where I've gained such an insane amount of discipline that I feel I can achieve anything in this life. But things weren't always like this. Let's rewind 2 years ago. To set the scene, it was 2022 and I had just moved here to Madrid, the capital of Spain, to study at university. Although I didn't really drink and party like most uni freshmen, I truly slacked off a lot because I thought I was more than prepared for this career. I did go to class but procrastinated studying a lot and managed my time like shit. So I ended up failing 4 out of the 5 subjects of the first semester. When my parents found out, they told me that I must get my degree in 4 years since they were paying for my expenses in a big expensive city and couldn't afford to pay more. So they gave me an ultimatum. They told me, if you fail more than 1 subject, you're going back home. To put you in context, going back home would be the most excruciating experience I could ever think of. I had all my friends in this city and I worked so hard to come here to just go back home in the first year. Going back home would mean going back to this depressing small town where none of my friends lived anymore to study for the next 4 to 5 years with my parents. The most spine-chilling part of this was the following. My next 5 years were delimited by failing a subject or not. That's how insane it was. A single digit changing your entire next 5 years with no second chances. It is safe to say that I shot myself after hearing that ultimatum. I truly had my balls up to my throat after hearing that message, so I acted accordingly. I prepared for what was coming. I had 4 failed subjects from the first semester and 5 subjects from the second semester. It was almost at the end of April when the reality kicked in. I can remember this like it was yesterday. At that point, finals were about to begin in 19 days, with the first exam being in the midst of May. So I will have to study 5 subjects in little more than 2 weeks. It will also mean that I would have to study for 9 subjects in the span of 2 months because I would have to retake the first failed exams. Needless to say, I had a lot of work to do, more than ever in my life. Realizing that slapped me in the face with the strength of the harshest reality. Translated into life terms, it would mean that my prime years, being from 18 to 22-23, would be spent in a shithole with my parents if I wasted a single second from now on. And so I got to work. Prior to this, I was a really lazy and very distracted person, but during this period of my life, it felt like I became somebody else. Like I became superhuman. I achieved such a knuckle down, eyes glued to the screen type of focus that I almost became a creature of another dimension. Like I was in Super Saiyan mode basically. For the following 3 months, for 10 to 12 hours a day, being those my waking hours, all I did was study. Every day, all day. And I didn't study in a chill way. The intensity with which I devoured paper after paper and exercise after exercise was truly out of bounds. I would put this study with me 12 hours live streams on my laptop in the background, just to feel some company. I would watch YouTube tutorials at 4x speed with a big bowl of rice and pieces of meat on my lap, so I didn't even have to bother separating my eyes from the screen to eat it. I would just consume it with a spoon. I wrote down papers and papers of exercise. I think I wrote 5 notebooks with this very bad and shaky writing style because my hand was hurting and couldn't rest. And the worst part of this is that for many nights I could barely sleep. During my waking hours I would chug coffee after coffee to try and compensate for the minuscule amounts of sleep I was getting. Nightmares, anxiety and devastating thoughts crossed my mind in a way I cannot even wish on my worst enemy. It was like a negativity feedback loop that was only relieved when I got back to work. You wouldn't be surprised that in such a situation, insane amounts of faith were thrown into the mix. I've never felt closer to God than in those lonely nights where I only had myself. To put you into perspective, I was locked up for 3 months in a small apartment that only had a kitchen, a bathroom, a bed and a table. That was it. 90 days. I didn't see anyone, I didn't speak to anyone, I had zero social contact except for when I sporadically went to the supermarket. So you can already imagine my psychological state. I only had myself and God to speak with. And God responded back with relentless amounts of energy and hope. And after the storm had passed, He compensated my efforts with the best blessing that I could have ever hoped for. We'll talk about that in a minute. I finished all of my exams, and although I got very good grades in most of my subjects, I had failed one of them and was waiting for another result. Essentially, I had already hit strike 1, meaning that if I hit strike 2, I was done for. I don't think I've ever prayed harder than those days. One day, and I remember this vividly, I got a notification on my phone about the last grade I was waiting for. I made an effort to grab my phone, and shivering from the intensity and importance of what was waiting at me behind the screen, I unlocked the phone. My stomach dropped and I swear I could feel my heart stop for a second. I felt like all the blood in my body went down to my toes and the world stopped when I saw the grade. After all this effort and sacrifice, sleepless nights, and essentially going to hell and back for this, I had failed. My future was now ruined. I can't even begin to describe the panic attack I felt when this happened. I remember I was always paralyzed, and it took me an insane amount of effort to grab my phone and call my parents and told them about the news, as I was hyperventilating. I remember telling them and literally getting down on my knees and crying my eyes out to them, begging and praying to my parents who wouldn't listen to me for a second chance. For the following 2 days, I was immersed in one of the worst states of misery and sorrow of my life. Knowing that you've given it all for nothing is probably the worst feeling a human being can experience. It's like when you study for an exam and you study a lot but you fail, but like multiplied by 1,000 because the consequences of this were monumental. And going back, I can now name what I felt. It's the feeling of regret. It's the feeling of knowing that it's written now and you cannot go back to the past and fix it. On the third day, ironically, just like in the Bible, God came in clutch. I still don't know how the this happened. If seeing the last grade made my heart stop, this almost made my heart like shoot out of my chest from the adrenaline. The amount of happiness and fulfillment I felt in that moment is still unmatched to this day. I swear it felt like one of these unrealistic happy endings of a movie. What happened was the following. I had received an email about how one of my past grades, a failed one, had been revised, and turns out the teacher committee had made a mistake while in the correction, and thus I had passed. Essentially, God had decided to save my ass with the most perfectly timed blessing of my life. It meant I had only failed one subject now. I didn't have to go back home. I was saved. I remember I called my dad in this blissful state of euphoria, and he thought I was lying to him as a last resort. And there and then ended one of the most important chapters of my life. It taught me more about resilience, discipline, and hard work than a trillion self-help books could ever do. It's safe to say that this journey, experience at the age of 18, made me mature more than anything in this life. And trust and believe I've had some rough experiences in the past that had made me mature quick, but I'll leave them for another video. But this one is of extreme significance because for the first time of my life, I feel like I was in control. I finally beat the monster of procrastination, which until that time ruled my life 24/7, 365 days a year. Despite the pain, I can confidently say that because of the flow state I achieved during that time, those were the happiest days of my life. Somehow, the simple routine of waking up, working until you went to bed, had fulfilled me in a way nothing had ever been close to doing before. And all of this was possible thanks to the biggest motivator, who apart from God, made me unceasing in this crucial period of my life. This powerful force that I've been teasing since the start of this video is one of the main reasons why I am where I am today, and I'm still in Madrid, in the city where I want to be. And that powerful motivator, as some of you may have already guessed, is fear. Fear is the greatest motivator. No matter how much you want something, desire doesn't even come close. Being afraid to live a midlife is always a bigger motivator than desiring to live a good one. So there you have it, the strongest motivator. Go ahead and use it in your advantage, because being able to turn any emotion, especially fear, into fuel will set you apart from 99% of the population. It's literally a superpower if it comes at the right time of your life. With that, I want to finish this video. Leave your reflections and experience with fear in the comment section, since I'm eager to read them all and get to know you guys. As always, if you have any questions or just want to contact me, you can send me a DM on Instagram, link in the description, or send me an email. I hope you apply what you just learned in this video in your life. Use it as a message to take action. Subscribe so you don't miss any videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Remember, now more than ever, it's time.